Exploring the tundra will leave you frozen in fear as we analyze the scariest things found in ice. Police in Michigan need to find a woman who has fallen from a dock through the ice before it's too late. The officer comes across two fishermen holding on to a poor woman who fears for her life. If they let go, she's going under. There's little time left. She's freezing. Hypothermia is the name for a dangerous drop in body temperature. From prolonged exposure to cold, you can lose your life from it in as little as 5 minutes.
You got a hold of her?
Signs of hypothermia include red skin, fatigue,
Losing her strength.
and numbness.
Take a hand. Take the other
I'm
one.
completely numb.
So it's not looking good for her. Her core body temperature is lowering. Her organs are slowly turning off to preserve heat and protect the brain. They have one last chance to save her.
It's too hard. You can't. Come on. All right, stay right here. Stay right here.
I'm stuck.
Grab a hold. 1, 2, 3. Up. Ah.
The police take over and get the job done in moments. One of the fishermen, an older gentleman, is absolutely exhausted and unable to stand by the time it's through. He and his friend are absolute heroes for not letting go until the police arrived, which actually took 15 minutes but to them felt like 5. The woman later said she was starting to lose consciousness, a sure sign that she couldn't have withstanded much longer in that cold water. Hopefully we can all learn from the scariest moments of her life and always be careful when fishing on the dock. Had other people not been around to help, she would have been lost beneath the ice. One creepy video shows us nature can be just as cruel underwater as it is above ground. A YouTuber named Trendy Outdoorsman is exploring the ice with his brother when they look down and find a really bizarre sight. A frozen bass is somehow sticking half out of the pond. They post a picture online, and after getting a huge response, the two return to the spot to make a video. When they carve it out, their discovery gets even weirder. The fish is trapped in the jaws of a large pike. Trendy Outdoorsman thinks the pike couldn't eat the bass and floated to the top. From there, it must have floated through an old ice fishing hole, which then resealed. I have no alternative explanation, so I agree with this theory, but I was wondering if there were any other theories as to what could have caused this freaky frozen fish incident to occur. At the westernmost edge of Taylor Valley is a glacier where the ice runs red. Experts are baffled as to what this vile reaction is made out of and where these eruptions are coming from. Surface samples reveal this red sludge is a mix of salt water and mystery compounds unlike any other. They suspect this strange red water pours forth from a system of complex underwater caverns that have never been explored before. No one has a clue what else is down there, but it's got to be creepy beyond belief if the opening of this glacier is any indication. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Under the ice, they found small unknown organisms that can somehow survive extreme temperatures. Beneath a sheet of ice with no food or light, researchers are currently investigating water samples taken from this area in hopes of solving this mysterious unexplained video. We'll just have to remain creeped out until they find an answer. In the southernmost regions of the Arctic is something that has been waiting for 1.3 million years in the making just to scare you. You would never expect to find an active volcano in Antarctica, but Mount Airbus is full of surprises, and not in a good way. A lot of people find this unsettling because they never knew it was possible, and I'd have to agree. Looking at a volcano covered in snow makes me feel like the world's a much scarier place than I'll ever be able to imagine. Around 1 to 10 eruptions happen here a day, and as they circle the smoldering rim, I just want to tell the pilot to get out of there because something bad happens, and I say that with good reason. This video becomes beyond creepy when you learn about what happened here on November 28, 1979. That's when a plane from New Zealand flew into the side of the volcano during a sightseeing tour. None of the 257 people on board ever made it back alive. They later returned in the day only to find the smoke is much darker than before. It's time to leave this place whose danger matches its mysterious elegance. Who knows how many spirits are watching them depart, silently wishing they could do the same. A while back, I analyzed a video about these weird things found on the ice in Utah that gave two friends a scare. The video was really eerie because it had over 1 million views, and absolutely no one in the comments could tell what these strange objects were, or if they were even alive. They were small and uniform in shape, and everyone was saying that they looked like eggs from another planet. I wanted to provide an update and say we've all been had. This bizarre sighting was later discovered to be an art project made by a student named Claire Lewis. Claire shows us that these weird things found on the ice were nothing more than a mix of flour and salt dipped in water. She estimates making over 1,000 of these and carefully setting them in the ice in a spiral pattern before walking away. Time passed, and by the time they were discovered, her footprints had been covered up by more snow, and the objects had sunken into the ground, giving this creepy burrowing effect. So if you see this anywhere else and they try to tell you it's mysterious and unexplained, remember where you got the real story. Few have heard the seriously scary sounds caught on tape underneath the icy Arctic. I can't explain what this noise is, and I bet you won't be able to either. A research team recorded this shortly after setting up an audio experiment in October of 2018. The creepy sounds have led to a lot of online debate ever since the video got out to the public. One of the more sensational theories is that this is the loud scream of a large underwater life form called the Ningen, an intelligent humanoid variant rumored to lurk in the Arctic waters. Here's some more of the recording. Tell me if you think this noise was made from a living creature or what. Hearing that must have freaked the research team out a lot, but they think they can explain it. Apparently, this is what extreme wind sounds like blowing across the ice. I've never heard wind like this before, but then again, I've never been to the Arctic. And speaking of weird noises coming under the ice, here's another video that has been weirding everyone out, especially those with a fear of heights. This hole, dug for Arctic climate research, extends for miles straight down and can trigger anxiety for many. He's looking over the edge, no railing in sight, and lets a chunk of ice drop. I don't know what made that noise, but I would be careful if I were them. After all, you don't want to anger the Ningen. On Sunday, May 10th, 2020, the daughters of 49-year-old Suzanne Morphew called to wish their mom a happy Mother's Day. When no one at the Salinas, Colorado residence picks up the phone, the sisters immediately know something is wrong with their mom and grow seriously worried. A neighbor soon checks Suzanne's home. No lights are on and no cars are in the driveway. It's a highly unusual change of her Sunday routine, and so they notify police. Within 3 hours, officers have found Suzanne's bike in a ditch along the highway. More of her personal items scattered nearby. The case was off to a strong start but quickly grew cold. Mother's Day was the beginning of a long and horrible chapter for the Morphew family. One that a man named Jared Lisek hopes to bring closure to. Jared, a professional diver and avid outdoorsman, has solved cases involving missing people before. His channel is dedicated to respectfully finding and documenting the final resting places of missing people, hence its name, Adventures with Purpose. On November 1st, 2020, he teams up with another adventurer named Kurt to help reignite the cold trail of the case. Kurt has been investigating this case for a while and has discovered some things that have made him feel very on edge. He starts off by saying they are being watched by someone.
Overwatch right now, watching us, protecting us.
Right now we have an Overwatch.
Physically.
He won't say anything else on camera, but I think he might be trying to say he has a bodyguard on hand. It's a very strange first impression. Anyway, a while ago, Kurt investigated a location that was suggested to him by an expensive psychic who has worked with police to find missing people. Inside of a frozen mine, a ripped blue shirt was found. One that's about the same size as what Suzanne wears. There are 2 entry marks on the shirt that look like they could be punctures made by someone holding a sharp instrument. One thing that strikes me as odd is how there's no red on the shirt. You think there would be. Now they are going back into the frozen mine where the shirt was found to look for more evidence. A short distance into the mine, they get a weird feeling and look down. Tell me if you can see a face briefly appear along the bottom at 21 minutes and 30 seconds, because I think I might.
You see that in the camera there, Dan?
Maybe that.
Can you see the tracks under there? I don't know if you can see that or not.
It's Colorado mine.
I'm really hoping it's just a rock formation and that my eyes are playing tricks on me. The thought of something paranormal looking up at them from within the water is horrifying. They search the rest of the cave and leave with nothing more than a creepy feeling that there is more in this mysterious cave than they were able to find. Perhaps another exploration of this strange and possibly haunted place is in order. A strange sighting caught on camera off the Arctic ice shelf has experts baffled. Its perfectly symmetrical rectangular shape is unlike most other icebergs. It's nearly unheard of for an iceberg to break apart in such straight lines. This stunning discovery is beyond creepy when you consider it could have been made by beings other than us. Some say it looks like the base to a structure that is no longer standing, or in an even scarier scenario, yet to be built. The fact that NASA is the organization that discovered this is a strong indication that it's something weird and bizarre. There's probably more to what's being caught on tape, but as with most things NASA is working on, we may never actually know the full story until decades later, if at all. A mysterious hole found in Antarctica has experts baffled as to what it all means for us in the future of the world. They have a name for the geographic anomaly, the Weddell Polynia, but that's about the extent of their knowledge regarding it. First discovered in the middle of the Weddell Sea in 1974, the hole was initially the size of Oregon, so you can only imagine what size it's grown to by now, but that's where you'd be surprised. The hole closed up shortly after its discovery by humans, leaving experts even more confused as to what it is and what was down there. Then, after 40 years of nothing, the Polynia opened up again in 2016, without reason, without warning. Such an odd phenomenon has the science community racing to figure out why the Earth keeps opening and closing at this one spot. A final report on November 11th, 2020 ultimately concludes that they still have no idea how or why this happens. A direct quote at the end of the study says, "What controls the initial openings is still unknown. People say something is down there that we're supposed to go in and find, or maybe something is supposed to come out and find us. I don't necessarily believe that myself, but anything that science can't explain has me at least a little worried. I could just be giving myself anxiety about things that can't be explained, but there's something beyond creepy about the whole thing, and I get a bad feeling when I see it. What do you think is down there, if anything?" Kelsey Davies goes exploring an eerie lake in the woods. A strange place that's claimed too many lives not to be haunted. People are getting trapped under the ice here and never coming back. She wants to communicate with their spirits to learn more. It isn't long until they've caught some bizarre paranormal activity on camera for us to analyze.
It doesn't look too deep, But you could totally get trapped under the ice, you know?
Near the lake, they encounter a revolting smell that makes Kelsey cover her nose. Evil spirits are said to sometimes secrete bad odors if they come nearby, which is why I think it's no coincidence when this happens next.
Oh.
That one.
A twig snaps underfoot,
Oh.
and as they huddle close, all eyes looking in the direction where the lake is, a sweeping shadow passes in front of the camera, followed by scary sounds coming from the woods near the lake.
That sounded like a scream.
Yeah, in the distance.
Yeah.
Was this forest scream the same sound someone once made as they fell through the ice? A final surprise noise they are now doomed to repeat as a ghost, and as they strain their ears in the darkness, more ghost EVPs are caught on camera.
Oh.
I bet there's something.
Dude.
There's like laughing. You hear that?
Yeah.
Shortly after, they hear a voice whisper. The camera blurs like a ghost is standing between them.
Sounds like someone's up there. Did you want to just whisper?
Even though it's never had a problem focusing up until this point in the video, this keeps happening for a full minute and then stops. I'm guessing when the spirit finally walks away. As they go exploring the haunted lake, their paranormal sixth sense is confirmed by extremely bizarre camera malfunctions that are too strange to be a coincidence.
Do you want to try the Necrophonic app over here?
Ooh,
Whoa, my camera's like super blurry.
it smelled really bad with that.
Wait, what?
I had a whiff of something really bad.
Kelsey's camera goes out of focus at the same time her friend smells a rotting stench walk by, and when it goes away the camera comes back into focus on its own. Her friend isn't even looking at the camera, so there's no way she could have known to say that. When they discover a discarded pair of sandals nearby, it becomes a clear possibility that they are being led to the site of someone's demise.
Look. There's just flip-flops.
And as they get freaked out and walk back to their car, it seems as if the party of three has grown one larger.
Hopefully. What was that? Was that you? What the f was that?
What you are looking at are the only verified photographs of the Minnesota Iceman, a humanoid creature whose story blurs the lines between legend and reality. Some say the Minnesota Iceman encountered a stranger in the woods who successfully defended herself. Others say the creature was found in the ice of eastern Siberia and somehow smuggled to the States. An explorer named Frank Hansen comes forward in the 60s with this humanoid creature and an official explanation. He said he tracked the creature a while back camping in the woods, then he panicked because it looked like a person up close, so he eventually brought it home. It was winter and the ground was frozen solid, so he would have to wait until next season to bury it and move on. He and his wife didn't want anyone finding out about it, so they kept it in a large freezer for a month. When it started to stink, they filled the freezer with water and froze him into a big block of ice, hence the name Minnesota Iceman. Frank kept the horrible secret in his basement for years and never told anyone. Only he and his wife knew what they had done. He soon hit retirement age and began reading about local sightings of a strange humanoid in the woods that matched the description of what was in his freezer. Something covered in hair, too tall to be a person but similar enough to be mistaken for one, and wildly aggressive. In December of 1968, he went public with his story, and a group of researchers went to investigate the frozen creature for themselves. The team, which included a doctor, made a specific report concluding what they'd found in the ice was not fake, Amongst other evidence, they confirmed a rotting stench had soaked into the walls of the freezer that was unmistakably human and could not be replicated by anything else. The science community demanded more evidence and asked Frank to provide hair and tissue samples. He refused. Not even an invitation from the Smithsonian Institute was enough to make him comply. The FBI became curious about stories of him storing something in a freezer for years, and they too demanded he give them hair and tissue samples of the Minnesota Iceman to analyze. When he refused, he became a suspect. That's when the Minnesota Iceman mysteriously disappeared. In the photographs, the creature holds a hand to its face as if protecting itself. Maybe Frank got rid of it because it was fake and he was about to get exposed as a fraud. Or maybe it was real and he was about to get convicted on serious charges by the FBI. As for the legitimacy of the photographs, they look creepy, but nothing a highly skilled special effects expert couldn't make if given the right resources. But if this stinks like someone who has been preserved for years like they say, then that would convince me it's real, since there's no way to convey that through a photo. This is simply not enough evidence for me to conclude if it's real or fake if I had to go by just looking at it, and especially from the FBI and respectable science organizations taking such a high level of interest, I'd say it could be real. The Minnesota Iceman was not seen again until 2013, when it was mysteriously put up for auction for $20,000 by an unknown seller. Nobody knows if this was the real one or not, but it is now supposedly on display at the Museum of the Weird in Texas. If the FBI has obtained DNA samples on the Iceman since resurfacing, the results have never been made public, and that alone should raise some suspicions. I've got a challenge for you. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. Number 1. This unknown creature sighting found frozen in ice has gone viral over the years despite lacking a backstory, or at least one I was able to research. Some people say this creature sighting is a half deer, half man humanoid that got trapped under the ice before they could resurface. I think this is a Photoshop though, and I'll tell you why. When you look really closely at this picture, as many times as I have, you'll realize the face is actually a Photoshop Jason mask from Friday the 13th. You can just barely mark out the air holes beneath the nose, like a hockey mask ordinarily has. The hollow eyes are also exactly the same dimensions as a Jason mask. It's a good Photoshop for sure, one that has fooled many people for years, but without video evidence. I have to believe this is a Jason mask with deer antlers photoshopped over it. Let me know if you think that's what it is. I would be pretty proud if I was the only one who finally debunked this picture. It's been creeping me out for a long time.